Hey everyone, welcome back to the second part of your Art of Fuel. Jay Abraham, the founder of Tanai Academy. This is your love doctor. So now we're going to continue this whole identifying who you are within the parameters of emotional neglect, so you can be able to understand yourself and know why you getting so emotionally drained and you're not emotionally equipped with who you are. So now we're continuing. So this is called the self-directed anger, self-blame. This is where you blame yourself for almost everything. But not only that, but you intensify it to the point that you have no mercy for your own mistakes. So you're angry, you're aggressive. So it basically starts off with shame. So when shame is taken to a whole new level, you become so angry with yourself and thus creating this self-directed anger towards yourself. It's directed deeply. It's difficult. The reason why it's difficult is because you have this deep shamed or ashamed of something and innately human in oneself as emotion, without getting angry with oneself for. So in other words, that you get so mad about something that happened when the thing that you got mad yourself for, it just makes you human, even though you're supposed to be compromising and understanding yourself. You start getting really aggressive. You have an inability to keep relationship, right? So you start to overcorrect yourself and go on to a self-sabotage process, such as getting overdosed, getting drunk, getting hospitalized, and so on, because you don't understand yourself better. The drinking, the partying lifestyle, it all compensates for a sense of feeling ashamed and possibly as well as angry. So you then eventually have an intense feelings of self-hatred. You start to hate yourself. You start to wonder why you hate yourself so much. That's how it continues. That's how you self-sabotage. Self-sabotage, of course, means you on purpose you ruin your life, but you do it without thinking about it. It just happens automatically, which could turn into self-harm processes where you start saying, I want to kill myself, I want to hurt myself, I want to just end it all because the pain is just too much. You will go through daily life numbing, so you're not able to feel anything anymore, with your feelings completely cut off and therefore outside of your own awareness, so that you do not actually feel angry, sad, or grief, to protect you from constantly feeling weak and ashamed. But those feelings were stored inside of you like the lava in a volcano. The overdose is the consequences of pressure of self-directed anger. So whenever you start to feel like you want to take drugs or drink a lot of alcohol, do all stuff, you're compensating because you really feel anger and you really feel hatred towards yourself. You don't like who you are, you don't like what happened, you get depressed, you get angry, and you get angry at yourself. You say, it's your fault, everything is your fault. I've done this myself, I'm no good, I'm suck, I am this, I am that. And because of that, you start to make hate towards yourself and you don't start to love who you are. So deep down, you start to hate yourself, not for any real emotions or shortcomings of loss, but for being sad and hurt, for being unable to explain to yourself why you are sad and hurt. In your mind, you were damaged goods and you have no excuses for it. You start to really call yourself a loser. You start calling yourself desperate, pathetic, all the horrible labeling, because you start to get angry about why you're getting angry. You start to wonder, why am I feeling this way? I must be a loser, I must be this. And when you start feeling all this way, you start to put it onto yourself even more. You start to hate yourself more, hate yourself more, hate yourself more. And eventually you start to hate the whole process. So these are the signs and signals to let you know if you have that mentality. If you think you have self-directed anger and blame, this is the signs that you would have. So first, you get angry at yourself easily and often. You use alcohol or drugs as a release. You often feel disgusted with yourself. you have a self-destructive episodes or tendencies, you blame yourself for not being happier and more normal. If people really know you, they won't like you. That's the idea you will have about yourself, which will start us into the next segment. It's called fatal flaw. It's basically fit under the same category of as if they'll like me, they won't know. If they know me, they won't like me, which is unfortunate, of course. So when people feel deep within themselves that something is wrong with them, then naturally they begin to have tendencies to try and make sense of the feelings or explain it to themselves. Okay, just follow me here. So each emotional neglected person, each person that have emotional neglect or emotionally drained within themselves, come up with their own unique explanation for what is wrong with me question. You know that question you say, what's wrong with me? Why am I always like this? Why do I feel like this all the time? Why do I always go through this? Who am I? Where am I? That question is called a fatal flaw. So it's not really a flaw, but it's just real feelings. And you tend to have this circular feelings that continue making you feel worse, worse, worse. And you start to analyze and manipulate and strategize and trying to make sense of what the hell is going on, when in reality you don't understand it either. So it's emotionally neglected adults, deep-seated very belief about yourself, about who you are. The thing that makes you feel different from everyone else is strange from the world or unacceptable to others. It holds you close to your chest, heading all the way down to a no cause. So all your flaws, all your mishaps, all your little twerks, instead of you just accepting who you are and accepting that that's part of you, you start to justify who you are and start to justify why it's become this way. And when you justify it, you make it worse and worse and worse, because you start to analyze it further and further and further, when the real solution is an easier solution to it. So the fatal flaw is a capsule which contains within it the echoes of a child attempt to understand what is wrong with you. So in other words, it's like a little ball or a little egg. Inside of it is all these thoughts that you have, what's wrong with me? All this, it's kept up very hidden. The moment something happens to you, the moment something bad happens to you, you crack it open and you start to make it flow with all these weird thoughts about who you are. You start to ask weird questions, analyze things differently. You start to explain things that make no sense, and you make the situation go from here to there. So what you tend to do is you tend to feel that they must keep the true selves hidden away from others, because they let people get too close to them and they can see their flaws. So in other words, that you don't want people because you start analyzing yourself and start going through all these horrible things about who you are, you start to push people away. The more people come close to you and want to get attached to you, you start to get worried about maybe they start to see who you really are. And when they see who you really are, you start to hate who you're going to become. So you become a little cautious and almost have that perfect image to them to portray this amazing guy, this amazing girl that has all these great things. And you're worried about one day they're going to see my true self. And the moment they do, they're not going to like me, so I'm going to leave. So I have to portray this fake perfect image to keep myself looking good. It's for one person, the flaw might be a belief that he or she is worthless. So they do not think about the world in complex ways, and they certainly didn't pay the little bit of time to adjust or understand themselves and how they would feel in accordance to what's going on. a lot of parental views, a lot of parents, the way if they treated you in a healthy way or you grew up in a healthy way, they make you see a flaw as a little quirk and a little habit or a little personality of you that makes you unique, that makes you lovable, that makes you a great quality. So whenever you make a mistake, they tell you, listen, you made a mistake, let's deal with it the right way, let's deal with it the understanding way. So you grow up understanding the right actions to take when a mistake has happened. However, when you don't have the right healthy childhood, get bullied a lot, parents not available, nobody to talk to, you feeling alone, feeling lonely, not able to understand yourself better, you grow up wondering why your brothers and sisters hated you so much, why everybody hates you, why nobody likes you, why you get that, and because of that you build up all these stories and you make it worse. So no matter what happens, no matter what you did with your siblings, and they still don't like you, and you simply start to analyze it in your head. You start thinking too much and making it seem like you're not good enough. So in any absence of any complex exploration and high expectation, you had developed two important assumptions about yourself. You are not likable and you are dumb. In other words, you are stupid and you're a loser. As you grow into adulthood, you develop a very avoidant style, which is very rarely initiated by social interactions, anticipating rejections around every corner. So no matter what happens, you're going to feel like, what's the point of me trying this? What's the point of me getting this? What's the point of me? Because no matter what, people are going to end up leaving me. People are going to end up hating me. Nobody's going to like who I am. And that's an avoidant mentality. As you continue going through the program, you will learn what an avoidant style looks like, and you're going to follow that according to that plan. So you claim to want marriage, children, but give up the moment you are in a relationship. And the moment the relationship gets a little serious, you start to push that person away. You start to push them away, and you start to look for a little flaws, or you start to bully them, you start to punch them, you start to abuse them within the relationship so they can leave you. And then this way you can say, oh, look at me, poor me, I am suffering, I am no good, nobody likes me. And that's how the cycle continues. So these are the signs and the signals of somebody that has a fatal flaw. So if that's who you are, understand this is why you're acting the way you are. You fear getting close to people. It's hard to open up to even your best friend or even brothers and sisters. You tend to expect rejection almost all the time. You avoid initiating friendship, relationships, anything with people. It can be hard to keep a conversation going. You can only talk by just saying yes, no, maybe, I don't know. That's the kind of answers you have. You feel that if people get too close to you, they will not like what they see. You start having this paranoia. And that's who you are. I'm sorry that you have a fatal flaw. Again, I'm not giving you all these things to make you label yourself and put yourself in a category, but at least we want to make sense of why you feel the way you feel. That's the idea of it. So the next one is difficulty in nurturing yourself and others. I think I had a little bit of that. I do not know how to console people when they are when they're crying or they're being hysterical. I don't know, because I think that's overreaction. So I don't know how to deal with it. That was one of my biggest things that I had to work, and this kind of helped me understand who I am and understand why I'm acting the way I'm acting. So when you have nurturance, when somebody nurtures you as you grow up, you get nurtured by your family and the environment. It can be described as a combination of love, care, and help. Okay, so children who are not emotionally nurtured can grow having a great deal of difficulty providing emotional nutrients or nurturance to others. That's how it works. So you would go and you will start growing, not knowing or lacking the love by your parents. You don't understand the love from your parents, but did not grow up feeling that you loved your parents. So you grew up knowing that your parents were there for you and they were there, but you did not grow up basically knowing that they loved you. It's a weird feeling, to be honest, and it's very uncomfortable. You know that they like you, or even sometimes you know that they love you, but sometimes you don't feel like they like you. And it's that feeling, not because they propose of it, or they said something to you that they don't like you or whatever, but you have all these kind of weird feelings inside of you, both positive and negative, exhibited around the household. So you see it around the house, you see the way your parents react to you, you see your siblings react to you, so you start making up all these stories in your head. So you were all nurtured physically, but not received emotional nurturance. So you grow up into adulthood, you would cringe when anyone in the group show you any innate feelings. So anybody that shows you in genuine loving feelings towards you, you start to cringe, you start feeling a little uncomfortable, like, don't hug me, don't do this to me, that's just weird, why are you coming all to me? Start feeling like this. The advice you give people are well-intentioned but delivered with no feelings whatsoever. So nobody believes that you're genuine. You're like, okay, what you told me is a great advice, but it just sounds weird the way you said it to me. It doesn't seem like it's coming from a happy or a genuine place. Your style, or your growing up style, you start going unnoticed by members of the family, friends, and you would often get defensive and have trouble accepting their advice, or even your own advice. Okay, Jay, from now on I'm gonna do this. I'm like, shut up. Subconsciously, I already know that those words came from no feelings and no words and no passion came from it. So because of that, I'm already neglecting it, and based on the factors that I'm already failing in some other areas, subconsciously I'm already negating that proposal or that pledge, because I know it will never happen. So I will defend against myself before I even try. So where do you end up going? Nowhere. In other words, people can tell you're not being genuine. I said that already. You would not be able to emotionally connect to the people or people in general for fear that they might emotionally connect to you. So you don't get involved not because you don't like them, it's because you're afraid that they might like you too much. So you lack compassion. Nutrients is compassion in general. Just to make it understandable, compassion in general is just like the glue, the emotional glue that binds us together to other people. So when you lack compassion, you lack the glue that keeps you and your friends and everybody around you together, even your kids, your parents, your siblings, your partner, everybody. And if you don't have that, that glue that binds you guys together will finally disappear. So compassion is the only thing that fills up your emotional tank. So it's the requirement for healthy parenting and good marriage and really good friendship with other people. That's the only thing that builds the foundation. So it should not be abandoned, and it should always be mutual between a husband and wife. That's what compassion is. Children are like a sponge, absorbing their parental love, care, and help. Once you get all three, so they absorb all of that, just like a sponge. They absorb it and soak it up with water. But if it's dry and has no sense of compassion, they're not absorbing the love they see, or they're not getting the love they need, they become dry. And when they become dry, they become hardened, which makes it what? Easy to break. So you are technically a little bit broken. So to a child, a long way from love, care, and help, which will harden, the sponge will harden, and it will wear off or wore off, and will have trouble receiving and giving nutrients. So the signs that you have it is that people sometimes tell you that you come across as distant or maybe even cold. That was me, 100%. I think 4-5 years ago now. Yeah, I'm come a long way. People sometimes think you're arrogant. You often think others are too emotional. Others come to you for practical advice, but not for emotional support. You feel uncomfortable when someone cries in your presence. You are uncomfortable. You're also uncomfortable crying yourself, especially in the presence of others. So you don't cry a lot or at all. You don't like the feeling that someone really needs you. You hate that feeling. You're going to feel. You don't like the feeling of somebody needing you or clinging to you. Yeah, that used to be me, man. And then this is the last one. Woo! It's called alexithymia. Alexithymia. I'll send it to you guys, of course, and to know how to spell of it. So it's Alexi, and then thymia. And what it is one symptom that can be considered common denominator of emotional neglect. This is the one. It's present it's present in one degree or another on every single emotionally neglected adult. So what I'm trying to say is that almost all of us have it. If you have any of the other traits, you probably have this one. It's just part of it that glues every single emotional neglect together. It's only mostly used in the psychology and in the counseling psychiatrist formats in the field, because it's just not a lot of people tend to use it. What it means is a person's deficiency in knowledge about awareness of emotions. So it's not lack of awareness, it's just a lack of understanding that people have emotions. So you're sometimes unaware of your own emotions, and you're aware of your impact on other people's emotions. It's an extreme form of person whose feelings are indecipherable, both their own and others. So they're not able to understand anybody's emotion. They just have no comprehension. So alexithymic people live a life with no willingness or ability to tolerate or even experience emotions. Emotions that are not knowledgeable or expressed tend to jumble around and emerge as anger. Eventually, suppressed feeling refused to stay down, basically. So think of it this way. Think of yourself holding that bowl all the way in the water for so long, and eventually coming up and comes back tenfold. Similar effect there. So when they are up, they have a small spurts of irritability that hurts others. The nature of your emotional neglect would leave you in most severely emotional stand. In all of your relationship, you will be unable to understand what people felt, read, and what others felt about you. And you're also unable to know what you could ask of someone or what you could offer them. So basically you feel you're kind of useless to everybody and to yourself. You feel like it's going nowhere. You feel like it's just going circular. So you'll be very perplexed about the questions about emotions. The concept of feelings was simply not on your radar screen. However, you get angry for everybody that shows you emotions and shows you emotions towards you and wants emotions from you. You are feeling very often essentially isolated and distant almost all day. You're kind of a little bit weary, a little bit kind of your vigilant radar is always on, watching people having all these expressed emotions, and you're wondering why are they doing that so much. You try to control everything around you and work around it, trying to make it easy, and sometimes you drink the night away so you can fall asleep because it's just too much for you. But despite all of this, you start to feel almost omnipresence in your life that you're not even aware that you even had. You don't notice it, you don't even question it, because it kind of engulfs you. It becomes part of who you are. However, you're very uncomfortable with it because it's part of you. It's very uncomfortable, it's very irradical feeling, but it's just basically the common denominator for everything that you've ever felt. So these are the signs and signals. You have tendency to be irritable. You are seldom aware of having feelings. You offering mystifying by other behavior. So you often mystified by other people's behavior. So you start to wonder, why are people acting this way? Why are people being so nice to me, so genuine to me? This is weird. Feels awkward. You're often even mystified by your own behavior. Why am I acting this way? Why am I crying? I shouldn't be crying. This is weird. This is a weird feeling. And that's how you go through the cycle. So when you get angry, it tends to be excessive or explosive. So you get outbursts. Sometimes your behavior can seem rash to yourself and even others. You feel that you are fundamentally different from other people. We all are, but this is fundamentally different. So this is basically all the traits and have this is to understand why you're emotionally neglected, why you're feeling emotionally weird and emotionally uncomfortable. And then the next videos, of course, we're going to continue finding out why. We're going to find out how so you can heal and how you can continue. Remember, all of our traits we've done with finding your purpose is finding the why, then you're finding the what, the how and the what. So we find the why you're feeling this weird way, especially when it comes to relationship and relationship with other people. Now we're going to figure out how you're going to continue and what do you need to do in order for you to recover and grow and prosper. I'm Jay Abraham, the founder of Metanoia Academy, the Love Journey. Thank you so much, you guys, for everything. See ya.